questions. Questions orales. The honourable member for Regina Capel.
10 years of this Liberal government, elites and insiders have never had it so good. Meanwhile, this Prime Minister is telling young Canadians that they're going to have to sacrifice even more. And now we learn what all that sacrifice is going to. We learned today that these Liberals just paid out big bonuses to government officials. The Liberal Housing Agency, CMHC, whose main job is to make housing more affordable, paid out $30 million in executive bonuses at a rate of about $42,000 a pop. Each one of those could have been a down payment for a young Canadian. Why is the Prime Minister telling young Canadians that they're going to have to sacrifice so that he can pay off government insiders?
The Honourable Minister for Gender Equality, Women and Gender Equality, Tourism and Small Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Canadians made it clear in the last election they want more homes built, especially for young Canadians trying to buy their first home. And that's why this government is moving fast. We're cutting the GST for first-time home buyers up to $50,000 in tax relief and nearly $4 billion in savings, Mr. Speaker. This works on building on our first home savings account and the National Housing Strategy supporting purpose-built rentals for young Canadians. While Conservatives are voting down affordability measures, we're stepping up and taking care of young Canadians finally getting the keys to their first home. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Regina Capel.
Mr. Speaker, if flushing billions of tax dollars through big bureaucracies actually worked, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We've been hearing the same thing for 10 years from this Liberal government, and the results for young Canadians are terrible. The youth unemployment rate is now 15%. Young people are forced to move back into their parents' basement, and now the Prime Minister is telling them to sacrifice while he uses their tax dollars to pay off big bonuses for government officials. Do these Liberals not realize that young Canadians simply have nothing left to give?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
What young Canadians want is a great job, and that's why we're making the investments not only in the things that they need, like good jobs, housing, major projects, but also in the skills training that they need to pick up those jobs. You know, the Canadian Building Trades Union does a fantastic job training young apprentices, and that's why in our budget we will propose $75 million more to Canadian building trades unions and other unions around the country to train our youth who want to do the work, Mr. Speaker. They want to be part of this transformation.
The honourable member for Calgary East.
The Prime Minister told young Canadians to make sacrifices while Liberal insiders and elites never had it so good. Canadians are lining up at food banks while Liberals use tax dollars to hand out bonuses. CMHC execs got $30 million in bonuses for helping the Liberal housing crisis. EDC execs got $60 million in bonuses for Liberal mismanagement of COVID benefits. How many more sacrifices do young people need to make so the Prime Minister can keep lining the pockets of his insider buddies?
The Honourable Minister for Women and Gender Equality.
Mr. Speaker, this is coming from a member whose leader, when once responsible for this file, only built 6 homes in this country. Mr. Speaker, Conservatives claim to care about young people, yet every time a measure comes forward to actually support them, they vote against it. They voted against the National Housing Strategy, against the first-time home savings account, against expanding mortgage criteria, and now they won't even commit that GST cut that would save first-time home buyers $50,000. But don't worry, Mr. Speaker, Canadians can rely on our government and this side of the House to keep making life more affordable for Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Calgary East.
Housing was half the cost under our leader when he was the housing minister.
That's right.
And if all of those expensive programs worked, 700,000 kids wouldn't be waiting in food bank lines every single month.
Exactly.
And rents have doubled. A PEI senior reported he's living out of his car because he can't afford rent. But this is the new normal in Liberal Canada. The only people eating and living good today are the Prime Minister and his elitist buddies. Why is he putting taxpayer-funded bonuses ahead of struggling Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, this morning I had the privilege of meeting with Minister Barb Ramsey of the Conservative government of Prince Edward Island. And you know what Minister Ramsey and I talked about? How pleased they were that we made the National School Food Program permanent. In fact, they've been able to drive down food hunger through National School Food Programs, and they are so happy to have a federal partner partner that's working with them so that kids can eat in dignity no matter who they are, no matter where they go to school.
The honourable member for Mégantic-l'Érable-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals have been in power for 10 years now, and you know what? Nowadays, more than 600,000 Quebecers are going to food banks every month, while the Prime Minister's friends are filling their boots. Last week, he had the nerve to tell young people to make even more sacrifices, while BDC and CMHC execs are getting tens of millions in bonuses. Instead of telling our young people to make sacrifices, why doesn't the Prime Minister ask his friends to make some by cutting back on their compensation packages? Why doesn't he do that? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Mr. Speaker, if my colleague wants to talk about nerve, they have the nerve to say things like that here in the House, but then vote against the measures we take to help the young and the vulnerable. For example, dental care that's helped thousands of people in his own riding. We could also talk about the hundreds of thousands of young people who have access to the school food program, which his colleague called garbage, Mr. Speaker. That takes a lot of nerve. The honourable member for Mégantic-l'Érable-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, they seem not to understand what ordinary people are going through. In Quebec, 600,000 people are now going to food banks. And at the same time, rents have doubled in all parts of Quebec, and the price of groceries continues to rise. Mr. Speaker, in the Journal de Montréal on the weekend, there was a front-page story about pregnant women cutting back on protein and vegetables. People don't have enough money to pay rent or buy groceries. Will the Prime Minister finally get the message and table an affordable budget so Quebec families can have an affordable life? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, what's absolutely astounding is that whenever they have an opportunity to vote on programs that would truly improve the cost of living for Quebecers and Canadians, they vote against it. When it's for children or for the dental care program, the school food program, which has been a huge success helping young people in Quebec. They talk a good talk, but every time it comes to a vote, they're missing in action. The honourable member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, 30 years ago, Quebecers came within a hair's breadth of creating their own country. Now the Yes Camp is back in action. So to all Quebecers who were already part of it, let's roll up our sleeves and start again. To all Quebecers who, like me, were too young or not even born yet, or who changed their minds, or who are living in another country, now it's our turn. But it'll have to be done democratically. And the federal government is preventing that with its Clarity Act. So my question to the government, will they commit to respecting the will of Quebecers? The Honourable Minister of Canadian Culture and Identity. Quebecers and Canadians went to the polls, and the people of Quebec chose to elect twice as many Liberals from Quebec than members on the opposite benches. I knocked on hundreds of doors and spoke to hundreds of people, and you know what no one was asking for? Another referendum. And now today, we're tabling a budget that will help build Canada. That's what our constituents want from us. The honourable member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the minister can still join the Yes camp once he's made his mind up. But in the meantime, it's not him, it's the citizens of Quebec who will decide on their future. And the Quebec nation deserves to be able to make all its own choices, like other peoples on this earth. If the minister is sure of Quebecers' attachment to Canada, he shouldn't be afraid of democracy. If he thinks he's sure to win a future referendum, why doesn't he repeal the Clarity Act? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, we're dealing with important challenges. And here on this side of the House, and the majority of Quebecers, they think we're stronger, united to meet the challenge, the current day's challenges. The Bloc can do what it wants to do, but we're focused on unity and on the major, and we believe that we're stronger together than divided. The honourable member for Lac-Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, Quebecers are a people like any other people, neither better nor worse, maybe a little cooler though. We deserve to be sovereign in our own home, like all peoples of the earth. We deserve to have our voice heard in the world like all other peoples of the earth. And above all, we deserve to make all our democratic choices ourselves, like all other peoples on earth. And that's the principle that the Clarity Act violates. It is literally English Canada retaining a right of oversight over our democracy. Will the government repeal this colonialist legislation? The Honourable Minister. It's quite interesting that the member talks about all peoples at a time when the government of Quebec has just tabled legislation without even consulting the Indigenous peoples of Quebec. No consultation whatsoever. So that's not how you work together, Mr. Speaker. And on this side of the House, we believe that we're stronger together. We believe in reconciliation with First Nations. And we consult with First Nations on all our legislation. That's how you build a country. The Honourable Member for Charlesbourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, while Canadians are going without food because of high prices, the Prime Minister's friends continue to get richer. When he created the new Defence Procurement Agency, the Prime Minister quickly turned to Doug Guzman to fill the position of CEO and gave him a $700,000 salary. After all, with Liberals, once a crony, always a crony. But now he's forgetting that he's spending taxpayers' money, not Bay Street's. Can this Prime Minister stop asking young people to make sacrifices so that his friends get rich? The Honourable Government House Leader. The only question on everyone's lips is, will the Conservatives steal Christmas from Canadians by triggering an election? We were just elected 6 months ago, and we got a mandate to build the strongest economy in the G7 and a strong country, and to build housing and opportunities, job opportunities for young people from coast to coast to coast. Is that member going to steal Christmas, or will he support our young people by supporting our budget? The Honourable Member for Charlesbourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, the Government House Leader, he's unique. There's no one else like him. And he's supporting the Liberals' mismanagement for 10 years and telling Canadians that everything's going tickety-boo. Are they going to table an affordable budget so that Canadians can have an affordable life? That's the question on everyone's lips. The Honourable Government House Leader. That is the question. That is the question. We are going to table an affordable budget based on a strong economy, which will guarantee a future and housing for our young people. It will guarantee training for our young people. The only question that remains is, are they going to steal Christmas, or are they going to take this opportunity to build a strong country with the best economy in the G7?
Member for Nanaimo, Ladysmith.
This government, Liberal elites and insiders have never had it so good. But the Prime Minister told Canadians they need to sacrifice. He promised he would spend less, but instead he spends more. The latest example, the head of his new defense investment agency, who has never served, will draw a $700,000 salary. Meanwhile, rent has doubled, food banks are breaking records, and seniors are living in their cars. How much more do young Canadians have to sacrifice so this Prime Minister can hire his buddies?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know where the party ops has been for the last 4 months, but we've been traveling in the country listening to Canadians. On November 4th, we will table a generational budget, Mr. Speaker. We will spend less in government operations. We will invest more in Canada. We will invest more in Canadians, Mr. Speaker. We will invest in infrastructure, defense, national projects, housing. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we believe in Canada. We will build our country and our economy and the strongest economy in the G7. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Nanaimo, Ladysmith.
Tell that to the 700,000 kids lined up at food banks. How much more do they have to sacrifice sacrifice for Liberal insiders. Canadians need a government that puts ordinary families first. While Canadians are sacrificing, the Prime Minister is handing out $700,000 salaries to his high-flying buddies like Halloween candy. When will this Prime Minister stop using taxpayer dollars to line his friends' pockets and finally give Canadians an affordable budget for an affordable life?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
How about the Conservative Party apologize to all the kids who take benefit of the National School Food Program, Mr. Speaker? They called it garbage last week, and they claimed it doesn't feed a single child. On the contrary, it feeds 400,000 kids every year, helping them to learn, helping them to focus, be ready for a full day of school. This is about giving every child an opportunity, no matter where they live, no matter where they earn. Mr. Speaker, I ask the members opposite, now that it's known, will they correct the record and apologize, or will they ruin Christmas with a Christmas?
The Honourable Member for Carlton Trail Eagle Creek.
After 10 years of this government, Liberal elites and insiders have never had it so good. The Prime Minister promised to cut high-priced consultants, but has already broken that promise. In 3 years, consultant spending soared more than 30%. This Prime Minister said he'd do things differently. According to him, differently is spending more than a record $26 billion on consultants. Another broken Liberal promise. Will the Prime Minister cut the costly consultants so Canadians can afford to eat?
Honourable Secretary. The Honourable Secretary of State for the Secretary of State. The Honourable Secretary of State for Rural Development.
Mr. Speaker, I reject the premise of that question, Mr. Speaker, because we all know on this side of the House the Conservatives never gave a dang about the low-income people and never will, Mr. Speaker.
There you go.
So I would point again, a memo to the Conservatives. Canadians don't want a Christmas election, first of all. The second thing is I would ask the Leader of the Opposition.
The member would like it from the top. Go from the top.
So, Mr. Speaker, as they speak about the challenges in this country, I'm going to ask the Leader of the Opposition, what did he take for severance when the current member from Carleton defeated him at the polls? How much did he take, Mr. Speaker?
Excellent. Member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands.
Well, this Prime Minister and these Liberals are asking students to make sacrifices, and Canadians are lined up at food banks in record numbers. Their use of their well-connected friends and high-priced consultants is driving costs up, like the Benefits Modernization Program that the Auditor General says is ballooned by an additional $1.3 billion and could hit as high as $8 billion. Canadians can't afford this Liberal government when we see layoffs from coast to coast to coast that we've never seen before. Why is it that Canadians are being asked to make sacrifices while these Liberals continue to reward well-connected Liberal consultants?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, this from the member who, when asked about his leader's comments on the RCMP, said, "I'm sorry, I have a lozenge in my mouth." So what I would like to ask that member is, will he take out his lozenge, go over and talk to the Leader of the Opposition, say, don't be a Grinch, don't cause a Christmas election, vote for this budget, and make Canada the best economy in the G7.
Honourable Member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lakes.
Well, I can tell you that a lot of Canadians feel sick after these Liberals continue to inflict their out-of-control spending on consultants. Last year alone, over $20 billion on well-connected Liberal insiders getting contracts. And this year, I think the number said that it's going to go as high as $25 billion. Why won't they put Canadians first? Instead of asking young people to make sacrifices, why won't they cut out their well-connected friends, put Canadians first, and deliver a budget that Canadians can actually afford?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding the member's choice of cold remedy, we will be putting a budget before this House next week. This member will have an opportunity to vote for opportunities for young people, for UTIP grants to unions so that we can create skilled trade jobs, unionized skilled trade jobs on major projects in this country, so that we can fund science, so that we can fund education, so that we can give a raise to our military personnel. Mr. Speaker, please vote for that budget. Don't cause...
The Honourable Member for Jonquière. Mr. Speaker, yesterday our forestry industry and its workers were here on the Hill to call on Ottawa to finally support them in their dispute with the Americans. They're asking the federal government to pay them 50% of any future countervailing duties. This is a no-cost measure since we know the American duties are illegal, and ultimately our producers will get reimbursed. But it's crucial for the survival of our sawmills. Yesterday, the minister appeared open to the idea, so it's up to her to turn this openness into action. Will she? The Honourable Minister of Canadian Culture and Identity. I'd like to thank my honourable colleague for that question. Last Friday, with my colleague from Les Pays d'en Haut, we met with the mayors in the Laurentide region, and to talk about the $500 million available through BDC rather. And we are going to be there to support the industry and its workers through these tough times. The Honourable Member for Jonquière. Mr. Speaker, it seems the Liberals have been duped as well. It seems they believed their Prime Minister when he said there would be a deal with the Americans in July, and then that there would be one this fall. But there is no deal, and it's clear there is no savior in the Liberal Party. It's a rude awakening. It hurts, but they have to finally understand the urgency of protecting our economy. Our forestry industry is calling for support in the face of countervailing duties. They need a wage subsidy to protect jobs. When will the Liberals finally do something? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague. We fully agree with him that this is an unjustified situation. The tariffs are unwarranted, and we hope to work with all members, the 40 members from Quebec in particular, to help our softwood lumber industry. Earlier, the minister mentioned that there's $1.25 million in support, and we want to do even more for our lumber industry.
After 10 years of this government, Liberal friends and insiders have never had it so good. We just learned that the government's own housing agency just doled out over $3.6 million in bonuses to all but one of their 86 executives. That's about $43,000 per executive. Meanwhile, rents have doubled, mortgage payments have doubled, home prices have doubled. I'm just wondering if the minister can tell Canadians who cannot find a home how much more he requires them to sacrifice while he pays his executive bonuses.
Honourable Minister of Artificial Intelligence and Digital Innovation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, the opposition keeps talking down our country. We are building it up. They talk down our housing as shacks in Soviet style. They talk down our police as despicable. They talk down our school food program as garbage. Meanwhile, here's some good news, Mr. Speaker. The only thing going down are interest rates. Meanwhile, we're working hard building affordable housing, hiring 1,000 new RCMP officers, and our national food program is feeding hundreds. Why don't they join us in building up the country instead of tearing it down?
The Honourable Member for Parry Sound Muskoka.
Mr. Speaker, food bank visits have skyrocketed to 2.2 million this year. Home prices are 54% higher today than they were in October 2015. The CTV reported this morning that a 76-year-old man in Prince Edward Island has been living in his car for the last 2 months because he cannot afford rent. The Prime Minister has told young Canadians that need to sacrifice. So the question is very simple. How much more sacrifice do you require from struggling Canadians to pay executive bonuses?
The Honourable Minister.
Thanks for the question, Mr. Speaker. We are doing everything to build this country up strong. The Conservatives are talking it down. They talk down our housing program. They vote against affordable housing. They vote against school food programs. They vote against hiring 1,000 RCMP officers. The hard work right now is to build this country up. We've got a budget coming November 4th. I hope they join us in doing the hard work and build this country up and avoid a Christmas election. Fight for this country.
The Honourable Member for Okanagan Lake West, South Kelowna.
Mr. Speaker, after 10 years of these Liberals, insiders have never had it so good. Canadians made 2.2 million food bank visits last year, including 700,000 children. And seniors are living in cars because rent has doubled. Meanwhile, this government gave $1 billion to buy boats from Beijing, offshoring Canadian steel, shipbuilding jobs, while executives at the Canadian Infrastructure Bank pocketed fat bonuses. They laugh all the way to the bank while Canadian workers cry all the way to the food bank. When will this Prime Minister stop lining the pockets of insiders and start delivering an affordable life for Canadians?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, I want to thank my honourable friend who's also the transport critic, and I will tell him that next week, November 4th, there's going to be a budget that solves a problem that he and I want solved, the problem of Drivers Inc. The Minister of Finance announced today that measures are going to be taken to make sure we restore labor standards and fairness to the trucking industry in this country. That's going to be in the budget. Will this member, I'm asking him, walk down the aisle, tell the Grinchy leader of the opposition, vote for the budget, don't ruin Christmas, build Canada strong, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Okanagan Lake West, South Kelowna.
I didn't expect the minister to ask me to walk down the aisle with him. Canadians made 2.2 million food bank visits last year, while seniors are sleeping in cars because rent has doubled. Yet this Liberal government sent $1 billion taxpayer dollars to buy boats from Beijing and handed out eye-popping bonuses at the Canadian Infrastructure Bank. Why is this Prime Minister using taxpayer dollars to reward insiders and offshoring Canadian jobs instead of helping Canadians afford the food and a roof over their heads?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, I want to once again thank my honourable friend and tell him I'll walk down any aisle that he wants to walk down if he'll just walk down a few steps and tell the Grinchy leader of the opposition we don't want a Christmas election. We want to support a plan that gives raises to the military, that keeps that shipbuilding industry in Vancouver humming, building ships for the Coast Guard and the Canadian military. All of this is going to be in our affordable, great economy-building budget on November 4th. Will that member do the right thing? Tell the Leader of the Opposition we don't want a Christmas election, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Lévis-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, while Canadians are struggling, it's the festival of bonuses for Liberal elites and insiders. Executives at the Business Development Bank of Canada got an average of $216,000 in bonuses. At Via Rail, it was $110,000 in bonuses. And at Export Development Canada, $143,000 in bonuses, Mr. Speaker. The Liberal Prime Minister is asking young people to make sacrifices, but not his buddies. Can this Prime Minister stop asking young Canadians to make sacrifices to enrich his buddies? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, you know, listen, we've already seen him do better than that, Mr. Speaker. In terms of his question, he wants to talk about sacrifices. It's a bit hypocritical on their side. They're ready to sacrifice the Canada Child Benefit. They're ready to sacrifice dental care. They're ready to sacrifice the National School Food Program. They'd be ready to sacrifice, Mr. Speaker, an increase in salary for our armed forces. Mr. Speaker, you know, the official opposition leader was ready to sacrifice one of his own MPs to get elected a couple of months ago, so we understand that they understand sacrifices over there.
West Vancouver, Sunshine Coast, Sea to Sky Country.
Mr. Speaker, money laundering, fraud, and financial crimes fuel organized crime, undermine confidence in our financial system, and contribute to serious challenges like the opioid crisis and rising housing costs in British Columbia. Our government has taken decisive action in recent years through major legislative reforms, but the sophistication of these crimes means we must remain vigilant and we must do more. Can the Secretary of State for the CRA and financial institutions update the House on how our government is strengthening enforcement to better detect and disrupt financial crime?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions and...
fair. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank
Just a moment. I just want to warn some members in this corner that we have to keep the level of noise down so that we can hear the Secretary of State for Financial Institutions and the Canada Revenue Agency.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my colleague for this important question. Last week, our new Liberal government introduced that on November 4th, our very first budget will take decisive action to safeguard Canadians' financial information and life savings. All of us in this House have had cases of heartbreak, especially seniors being defrauded. That's why we will introduce several measures in Budget 2025 to combat financial crimes, such as federal anti-fraud strategy, a dedicated financial crimes agency, and a code of conduct to combat economic abuse. Budget 2025 will build Canada strong by protecting...
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent Akiawenrak. Mr. Speaker, for 10 years the Liberals have been completely mismanaging taxpayer money. And the Auditor General has given us a terrible example. The Canada Revenue Agency signed a contract for 10 years for a new telephone system with a budget of $50 million. Do you know how much it's cost them so far? $190 million, and it might go up to $217 million, 4 times more than what was expected. That's Liberal management. Will the Liberals finally understand that they need to stop wasting money and put in place measures so that people can have an affordable life? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. And I'll be happy to brief my colleague from the opposition so that he understands the nature of that contract, which was a competitive bid where the fees of $190 million over 10 years were included in the initial contract. We got good value for money. If he'd like to know more about that specific instance of procurement, I'd be happy to brief him on that. Otherwise, I would invite him to listen to what was said at committee recently, where the president of Shared Services Canada explained the situation. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent. Mr. Speaker, I would invite everybody to listen to what happened at committee about the CRA. It was very instructive on the completely irresponsible way that they have been managing the CRA for the last 10 years under this Liberal government. The result, Mr. Speaker, is what? Well, it means that there are 2 million Canadians who are going to food banks right now. The cost of housing has doubled since these people have been in power. And what has the Prime Minister asked for from young people? More sacrifices. When will the government understand that they need to stop wasting, that they need to put in place real measures so that all Canadians can have an affordable life? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, what we promised Canadians and young Canadians, and the reason why they're on that side of the House and we're over here, is we promised a serious plan for Canada's economy by making key investments to build Canada's economy while reducing the cost of living, while increasing the cost of purchasing power. That's what we did by lowering taxes for 22 million Canadians. That's what we're going to do on November 4th. I would invite the member to support us.
For Calgary Crowfoot.
Mr. Speaker, after 10 years of this government, Liberal elites and insiders have never had it so good. But the Prime Minister told young Canadians that they are the ones who need to sacrifice. So while young Canadians have given up on home ownership, the Auditor General reports that the CRA allowed a telephone system contract to go from $50 million to nearly $200 million while they still don't answer the phone. Will the government deliver an affordable budget that reins in sweetheart deals for insiders? Yes or no?
Yeah, you go.
The Honourable Minister of Emergency Management and Community Resilience.
Mr. Speaker, one thing is clear. Investing in housing is one of the most effective ways to tackle food insecurity. In the last 6 months, in my home riding of Edmonton Centre, I announced over $400 million in infrastructure investments and affordable housing. We're not asking young people to make sacrifices or Canadians to make sacrifices. We're asking the Conservatives to support our generational budget so we can keep building homes and make life affordable for Canadians.
The honourable member for Calgary-Midnapore.
After 10 years of this Liberal government, elites and insiders have never had it so good. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister's message to young Canadians is to continue to sacrifice. While Canadians are lining up at food banks, billions of their tax dollars keep going to consultants, $25 billion, in fact. Consultants that don't stick to budgets or, according to the Auditor General, don't even deliver results. So why doesn't this Prime Minister make his friends and insiders sacrifice instead of young Canadians?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I said, one of the biggest drivers of food insecurity is the cost of housing, and that's why we're focused on getting more homes built. That's how you make life affordable for Canadians, and we're starting to see progress. Projects are breaking ground, rents are starting to level off, and more families are moving into homes that they can afford. The Conservatives can criticize all they want, but if they really wanted to help families with affordability, they'd support our budget.
The member for Calgary-Midnapore.
The numbers don't lie. Canadians have made a smashing 2.2 million food bank visits. Over 700,000 are children. 700,000, Mr. Speaker. Canadians are living in their cars. They are struggling. They can't afford food and they can't afford homes. These are facts. So why won't the Liberals admit that their programs aren't working and that they will choose their friends and insiders over Canadians every single time?
Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
You know, Mr. Speaker, I've noticed that the Conservatives have stopped quoting the report from Food Banks Canada. And you know why, Mr. Speaker? Because in that report, in fact, what Food Banks Canada said is that there are some promising signs from the federal government. Things like Canada Disability payment for the very first time, something those guys voted against. The Canadian Dental Care Plan that's bringing down costs of dental care for Canadians, Mr. Speaker, a national food program, and a national housing strategy that's focused on market rent housing. Mr. Speaker, that's what they're prepared to throw at.
The honourable member for St. Albert, Sturgeon River.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister stands to make tens of millions of dollars in future bonus pay from 3 investment funds that he registered in Bermuda and the Cayman Islands. So a simple question, how many other investments does the Prime Minister have in offshore tax havens?
Good question.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
That member knows very well that all members in this House must abide by some of the strictest, most stringent ethics rules in the world. The Prime Minister has not only met but exceeded his requirements under those ethics guidelines, Mr. Speaker, and he will continue to do so.
The honourable member for St. Albert, Sturgeon River.
Mr. Speaker, expert testimony reveals that the Prime Minister's company, Brookfield, is the biggest tax dodger in Canada, having avoided paying a staggering $6.5 billion in taxes in just 5 years. As chair of Brookfield, the Prime Minister registered 3 investment funds in Bermuda and the Cayman Islands in which he stands to make millions. So again, how much does the Prime Minister have in offshore tax havens?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Once again, Mr. Speaker, Canada lives under the most stringent and strong ethics guidelines for designated public office holders in the world. All members must comply with these requirements. These requirements are met very transparently, including the Prime Minister's, which is all, of course, available for the public to view. These ethics guidelines in Canada are strong, and we should be proud of that, Mr. Speaker.
For St. Albert, Sturgeon River.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberals speak of a stringent and robust regime, yet the Prime Minister's company, Brookfield, registered multiple funds to a bike shop in Bermuda, all to avoid paying taxes in Canada, a bike shop. The Prime Minister is dodging a simple question, so I will ask it again. How much money does he have in offshore tax havens? Just a number, please.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, on April 28th, Canadians had a choice between a leader with world and business experience versus a leader with no experience outside of this House. Canadians spoke loud and clear. They elected a leader that's going to build Canada, invest in Canada. They elected a leader that's going to make Canada the strongest economy in the G7. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for St. Albert Sturgeon River.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister refuses to come clean about his offshore tax havens. Meanwhile, he lectures young Canadians that they need to sacrifice more. Well, after 10 years of these Liberals, they can't afford food, they can't afford rent, they have nothing left to give. So when will the Prime Minister park his hypocrisy, come clean, and tell us how much cash he has stashed in offshore tax havens?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, while the party opposite is focused on their leader, we're focused on Canada. We're focused on building our economy the strongest in the G7. Mr. Speaker.
I couldn't hear. So if the Honourable Secretary of State would like to start from the top, that would be ideal.
Start from the top.
Mr. Speaker, the party opposite has had a bad week. We understand that. They're focused on their leader and they're focused on a revolt in caucus. But on this side of the House, we are focused on building Canada. We are focused on investing in Canada. On November 4th, we will come forth with a budget that will invest, build our economy in the strongest into the G7. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Terrebonne. Mr. Speaker, we have the industries, the innovators, and the workers ready to deliver the advanced technologies that our armed forces and our allies need, from aerospace to cyber systems. Can the Minister of Government Transformation please explain to the House how Buy Canadian will ensure that federal procurement supports the development of a strong Canadian defence and security industry, that it strengthens our supply chains and builds a more resilient and prosperous economy for all Canadians? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for Terrebonne, and I'm very happy to say that to the Member for Terrebonne. Happy to see her with us here in this House, and I thank her for her excellent question, Mr. Speaker. It's an excellent question because I know that there are a lot of businesses in her riding for whom it's important that we buy Canadian. What does it mean to buy Canadian? It means that we prioritize Canadian businesses, that we have requirements for Canadian content. It means helping SMEs so that they can participate in federal procurement. It means supporting Canadian businesses in aerospace, in naval construction, in AI, in manufacturing. And Mr. Speaker, we're going to go forward because we know that contracts are always better than handouts.
The facade has been exposed. The Prime Minister's claim of being a master negotiator is pure fiction. Every time the Prime Minister meets with foreign leaders, it's Canadian farmers who suffer the consequences. Now India has slapped a 30% tariffs on Canadian yellow peas. This is when farmers are already suffering from crippling tariffs from China on peas, canola, beef, seafood, pork, and other commodities. Now India has taken another step, and every time the Prime Minister travels, it's farmers who feel the pain. So why is it that Canadian farmers are the ones paying the price for the Prime Minister's vanity tour?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, numerous times I have reiterated in this House the importance of diversifying Canada's supply chains. Over the past number of months, I have spoken with my counterpart in Pakistan. Pakistan is one of the world's largest importers of canola. This morning, he confirmed to me that Pakistan will open its doors to Canadian canola. In fact, he confirmed to me that orders have already been placed for Canadian canola. This is great news for Canadian farmers, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we will build Canada strong.
The Honourable Member for Foothills.
Thanks to the Liberal trade failures, now 80% of Canada's pea markets are facing tariffs. That is the fact. Every time this Prime Minister travels, it's Canadian farmers who are suffering the consequences. Let's look at the Liberal scoreboard. In China, 100% tariffs on Canadian peas and canola, 25% on pork and seafood, and Canadian beef has been blocked since 2021. United Kingdom does not take Canadian beef and pork. Meanwhile, imports from the United Kingdom and beef has skyrocketed. Now India slapped a 30% tariff on Canadian peas and 10% on lentils. Will the Prime Minister stop the photo ops and get tariff relief for Canadian farmers who are just trying to feed?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, I'm going to reiterate that we are actively making sure that countries hear the interests of Canadian farmers, Canadian suppliers, Canadian producers. Not only is Pakistan opening its doors to Canadian canola, I raise potash and canola, agriculture and seafood in my recent trip to the Indo-Pacific, and the governments with whom I spoke assured me that we will continue to work together to build economic supply chains across the Indo-Pacific, which is why the Prime Minister is in the region right now.
The Honourable Member for Souris Moose Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, prairie farmers don't want handouts. They want a trade deal. China's unfair tariffs on Canadian canola have cost billions of dollars and punished our producers. The canola sector is bigger than Canada's steel, aluminum, and auto sectors combined. Yet this government, they treat it like an afterthought. Now the Prime Minister is in China meeting with President Xi. Will he finally reach a deal to lift these punishing tariffs or come back once again empty-handed, proving that when it comes to standing up for Canadian farmers, this Prime Minister is all talk and no trade?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food.
Canola farmers produce the best canola in the world. And we know China has imposed unfair tariffs on canola. We're working on it. The Prime Minister and the Minister of Agriculture is currently in Asia, diversified our trade, but also resolving dispute resolution. And Pakistan now opens the door to our canola. But in the meantime, Mr. Speaker, we will be there for our farmers with programs to support them during this difficult time, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Mississauga Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Merci, Monsieur le Président. There are now less than 100 days until the 2026 Milano Cortina Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games. Our government recognizes that athlete health and well-being are foundational to performance, and we want all of Team Canada to know when you're representing the country we all love, we have your backs. Can my good friend and colleague, the Secretary of State for Sport, share how our government is supporting Team Canada Olympic and Paralympic athletes and their coaches? And while I have the opportunity, Mr. Speaker, let's go Blue Jays.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Sport.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. On Monday, I announced more than $3 million of an investment in mental health for athletes to support the Canadian Olympic and Paralympic institutes and networks across our country, supported by the Canadian Olympic Committee and the Paralympic Committee. And, Mr. Speaker, we're also supporting Game Plan, the Canadian National Team Total Wellness Program. These investments are critical because our government knows health and mental health and overall well-being are foundational to the performance and the success for our national team athletes in sport and in life. Mr. Speaker, Canadians are proud of our athletes, and teams with the 2026 Winter Paralympic and Olympic Games coming up, fast approaching, Canada's new government is committed to supporting Team Canada.
The Honourable Member for Elgin, St. Thomas, London South.
Mr. Speaker, Canadian youth are struggling, but Liberal elites have never had it so good. Youth unemployment is at 15%. Young people are writing off the dream of home ownership as simply a fantasy. But the gravy train is chugging along for the Prime Minister's friends. 79% of Export Development Canada executives cashed in bonuses averaging $143,000 each. BDC executives got bonuses averaging $216,000 each. The Prime Minister's housing agency paid out over $30 million in bonuses. Will the Prime Minister ask his elite Liberal insider friends to make sacrifices instead of young Canadians?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, little known fact because it wasn't exactly a bestseller, but that man was Pierre Poilievre's, the leader of the opposition's biographer.
His biographer? Wow.
Now, that would mean that he knows some intimate secrets about the leader of the opposition. What I suggest is that he walk down a few stairs, talk to his boss, tell the Leader of the Opposition, that Grinchy guy, don't steal Christmas from our kids. Don't cause a Christmas election. Vote for this budget that's going to help Canadian youth and build the best economy in the G7.
The honourable member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister says he wants to make generational investments in nation-building projects. New Democrats agree. We also know that a healthy economy needs a healthy workforce. The NDP pioneered dental care and pharmacare because they deliver essential primary health care to Canadians. We believe every Canadian should have head-to-toe health care regardless of their ability to pay. Will the Liberals acknowledge that universal public health care is nation-building and reflect that principle in their budget next week?
The Honourable Minister of Health. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague from the opposition for his question. You know, I am the Minister of Health, and my role is first and foremost to defend the Canada Health Act, so I can guarantee to my colleague that before and after the budget, certainly we will defend universal health care for Canadians. Thank you.
Member for Vancouver East.
Deep cuts are being planned for the arts and culture sector in the upcoming budget. Festival and events could lose $22.5 million, reducing their funding to 2007 levels. The Canada Arts Council could face a $50 million cut. Arts and culture not only feed our soul, they are a major economic driver, contributing $65 billion to Canada's GDP in 2024, generating $17 billion in federal and provincial tax revenue. Funding should be increased to support these made-in-Canada jobs. Will the Minister of Finance scrap these cuts?
Hear, hear.
L'honorable ministre.
The Honourable Minister of Canadian Identity and Culture.
For her question, in fact, between 2015 and 2024, this government has double the funding for the Arts and Culture Centre in this country. We have double the funding for the Canada Arts Council. We will continue to be there for our artists and for our cultural sector, Mr. Speaker.
I would like to draw the attention of members to the presence in the gallery of the Honourable Barb Ramsey, Minister of Social Development and Seniors for the province of Prince Edward Island. John?